Afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Did you want to go ahead, Mark?
Unmute yourself, uncover yourself.
You ready? Okay, call to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Flack,
Present.
Commissioner Briley,
I'm here.
Commissioner Byers,
Here.
Commissioner Kelly,
Here.
Commissioner Michelina,
Here. Here.
Commissioner Tucker,
Here.
absent is Commissioner Tondino. Also present is Samantha, Director of Community Development, Zach Cook, Village Attorney, and Stephanie Warren, Short-Term Rental Administrative Assistant. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Declaration of conflict of interest. Does anybody on the panel have a conflict of interest with anything we're going to discuss today? If so, please say aye. Thank you very much. Certification of compliance with Resolution 2020-01. Stephanie, please.
I do certify that all properties and meeting agendas were posted in accordance with section 5440 of the municipal code, in accordance with resolution 2020-01.
Thank you very much. I will take an approval of the agenda, a motion.
I move we approve the agenda for May 22nd, 2020.
Can I get a second, please?
A second.
Alan, was that you?
Michelin.
Oh, Michelina.
Ron.
Thanks, Ron. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to the public input section, and I think Sam's got some ground rules and stuff to talk about.
All right, just to get started, if you all would please mute your microphones until it's your turn to speak. Does anybody have anything to talk about that they'd like their input for anything other than what's on the agenda today? No? Okay.
Are we going
I'll
to
let
swear
you-
people in, or what are we?
Yes.
Okay, so anybody, I know it's kind of hard to do since we can't see really hardly, but anybody that's going to speak on anything that's on our agenda today, please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth under penalty of perjury. I'm assuming everybody said I did. All right, thank you.
We have an applicant here that I'll have to swear in when he
Okay.
comes in, okay? Okay, Steph, you want to bring Jesse in and then, we're gonna get started and then y'all have to just listen from your desk. Because we have to keep it to 5 years and everything too.
Do I have to monitor the comments and take notes?
I can see the comments here. I think it'll be okay.
So are we trying to stick to 5 people?
Well, I'm gonna have to take it, so I can write this talking.
And I was y'all to bring it back in when you leave.
Just stand in the closet. That's a different.
Yeah.
Can you go to the break room?
So just stand right
You know,
there.
yeah. Yep. It's a different room. It meets this requirement.
Then you can hear
Here,
us.
you want me to put a chair right there for you? You want this chair, Stephanie?
I'll grab Jesse and then if you'll swear him in.
Sure. Can't find the floor.
So, Jesse can come in and then we'll call her afterwards.
Hello.
Great, Jesse. Hi, my name is Mark.
So the microphone is right there.
Sit up there for me. Actually stand, raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth under penalty of perjury. Thank you, sir. You need to verbalize that. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Sorry, I'm gonna situate.
This is planning and zoning?
This is planning and zoning. Yes. We swear everybody in. We swore the whole group in early. They're all up there.
also planning and zoning.
That's,
No.
they're residents, people, concerned citizens.
We have 3 board members up there though. Okay, I will start by sharing the screen and going through the case study. Okay, this case here is SP 2020-0289. The request before us is a site plan and concept approval located at 525 Resort Drive. Currently, it's zoned as a PUD. The applicant is Jesse Townsend, and he is here to present his site plan and concept approval. Per the municipal code, you must show how you would like to designate the entire parcel of land. And right now, he is requesting to be designated as a commercial planned unit development. And so he would fall under all of the zoning requirements of a commercial property. His request is to create a campground with recreational activities within his 5-acre tract. You can see the tract of land there in yellow. It would be classified as a commercial CPUD pending the approval today. Right now, all of the blue is who was notified of his development. They fall within 200 feet of his property. This is the site plan that has been submitted by the applicant. Jesse, would you like to describe your intentions?
Can we just describe more what's going on there?
Yes, describe how you'd like to designate this as your recreation and your RVs. How many RV spots, how many campsite
I don't remember
spots?
what that total number is. School.
I had 24 RV and 28 tent.
So there's 24 RV sites. They're not gonna be any more than about 4 per designated area. There's no utilities, running to or that kind of stuff because it's a campground with a temporary nature. And like the Village of Ruidoso has a grindstone, no more than 14-day or however it's written, a 14-day stay in a 90-day period, I think is what that says. But the sites are flexible so that people in groups can park and accommodate in individual campgrounds together and also have tent camping available. There's also a recreation area designated that would be primarily set up for younger children because there's very little activities for small children in Ruidoso. And there's well more than 7% of open space and try to keep the natural green nature of the area as preserved as possible.
I feel like that describes his case well. I'd like to open it up for the commissioners.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Commissioners?
This is Alan. I have a couple.
Okay,
On that plat that you have on screen, there's a lot of very light writing that looks like lot 1, lot 2, and I couldn't tell what those were.
Yes, those are lots that are designated. And the colors, the green area would be primarily the RV area or the camp trailer area, and then the pinker area would be tent camping sites that are on the natural terrain and slope of the hillside.
Okay. Second question, dry camp, or are these going to be improved camp RV sites?
Dry camping.
One more question then. I guess this is to Sam, the difference between a PUD and a CPUD. Can you kind of generally say what the difference are besides one's residential and one's commercial?
With the PUD right now, it's just a blanket designating a planned unit development, giving him a little bit of discretion to be creative with the use of the land as long as it's in line with village codes and our comprehensive plan and conducive to the surrounding zones and what the development currently is out there. Once he designates either being C or residential or mixed use, those are the sets of codes he would fall under. So everything set forth in commercial, he would have to comply with all of the commercial codes.
Okay, well, I thought I was done, but one more question, Mr. Chair, is there's the little creek that comes out of Grindstone running through there somewhere. Are we concerned about water, stream, pollution? I saw in some of your reports that there needs to be some other permits and other things for watershed, but I don't know if it's part of this process right now, or is that later during the site development plans?
Is that me?
He will need to check with the Army Corps of Engineers because it potentially isn't a designated waterway, so he would need a permit, number 404, along with the 401 from the New Mexico Environment Department prior to development. Today, we're just addressing the concept and designating him as commercial PUD. That should be a condition set forth on the motion.
So if we're gonna designate him as commercial PUD, does that have to go through village council to do that, or is that something?
Everything after today will have to be approved by the village council. The commercial designation can come from you all at this point.
Anybody else have any more questions?
That's all I have.
Yeah, Alan. Or Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I had a question as far as facilities. I know he's talking about doing dry camping. Is he gonna have a dump station on the property?
No, he says no.
Okay, what about as far as a quiet time in the park? Like after 9 or after 10 or something of that nature between the hours of 9 and maybe 7 a.m.?
Most definitely 10, that's still to be discussed, but absolutely quiet hours from 10 p.m. to 7 p.m. or 7 a.m., kind of something similar to that.
Okay,
Do you have somebody, are you on site? Do you live on site or? Because I can tell you those quiet time rules are rarely abided to or enforced. So you see that a lot at most campsites and stuff like that. People out partying with their music blared till 4 a.m. So it's something you're going to have to really enforce if you do. Anybody else have a question?
I have a question. In regards to what you were talking, when you were presenting, you said creating opportunities or facilities for younger children. Can you expand on that a little bit for us, please?
There's, I have the idea of having bounce houses and pony rides and petting zoos and entertainment of that nature.
Okay, and will that be a pay-to-play type situation, or will that be an option for people who pay to camp there?
Both.
Scarlett?
That was it.
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Please.
Are those two things just described, are those going to be the extent of the recreational activities?
For the time being, yes.
And secondly, how do you foresee this affecting traffic there on Resort?
I don't see it being much of an impact. I have enough area that I can park everybody on my property and as a whole, it would be very minimal compared to the impact we're already accepting.
Thank you.
Are you gonna have restrooms available,
I will have restrooms.
running water and everything, or porta potties?
Probably initially starting out with porta potties until I can justify the finances of building good restrooms.
Anybody else have questions? So,
I have public comments that I need to read into the record.
right, okay,
You're
you're gonna actually read them all? Okay,
And then we can address them.
okay, yeah.
So these are the public comments that have been received pertaining to this case. This states, we are Thomas and Erica Kirk. Our mobile home is directly across the street from Mr. Townsend's land. Since we have not been provided the site plan or the campground concept, we cannot comment on either plan. However, we strongly oppose Mr. Townsend's request for a campground with recreational activities. The second is from Ronnie Lawing. I'm getting in touch with you on behalf of an RV park on Resort Drive. It has come to my attention that many people in the Wingfield Subdivision 1 and 2 would like to have a say on this matter, not only in the New Mexico Night Sky Protection Act, but several matters. Thanks, and please contact me with questions. Ronnie Lawing. To whom it may concern, I own the property at 103 Santa Maria within 200 feet of the proposed development at 525 Resort Drive. I have the following concerns that I would like addressed with the village commissioners and the applicant at the May 26th meeting. 1, area congestion, both vehicle and foot traffic on Resort Drive. The traffic last summer on Resort Drive with the Whibbit and other Grindstone Lake improvements changed the area from a quiet, scenic, quasi-residential street to a congested, noisy commercial street within the proposed campground and recreation site. What steps are being taken to remedy the already congested area? 2, parking. Last summer, Resort Drive became a parking lot for the lake. Additional venues to the same area is only going to make the situation worse. What solution is being proposed for parking and how will it be enforced? 3, noise. The addition of a bounce house, slide, and pony ride plus 24 RV sites and 28 campsites is going to make the whole area noisy both day and night. What controls the residents across the street to expect to see in regards to noise? Number 4, fire danger. With the addition of 52 campsites across the street, what controls can we expect to see for potential fires? 5, increase in crime. With the additional people in the area, the potential for property crime is going to increase. How will that be mitigated? Property values. Turning the area into congested, noisy commercial zone is going to decrease property values for the residential area across the street. Is the village or the applicant going to compensate homeowners for the loss? Thank you for the opportunity to be heard. I look forward to getting a response. Richard Burns. Greetings, Stephanie. Please include the input from the May 26, 2020 Planning Commission meeting for case SP 2020-0289. I implore the Planning Commission to deny Jesse Townsend his request to designate his property as a CPUD zone. The Wingfield community has been bombarded with enough tourist attractions such as a music festival at Wingfield Park and the frenzy of increased tourism at Grindstone Lake. The traffic and the noise has increased tenfold in the past year, and I do not feel the people that live in the Grindstone area deserve to have yet another tourist destination shoved down their throats. This affordable area that offers peace and quiet of nature to us locals is being ruined by greed and exploitation. We choose to live here because of the quiet, neighborly atmosphere. We did not expect to have a circus and a carnival-like atmosphere become the daily norm. It's time for council, boards, and commissions of the village to stand for the people who live here and not the almighty tourist dollar. It also seems that Jesse Townsend has proceeded building his campground without proper permits to do so. Why is this allowed? Does he know that he will be granted the zoning change before it's supposedly decided on at a special meeting? Are the words of the protest from the public a moot point because the approval of the campground has already been given? Again, I implore the Planning Commission to deny Jesse Townsend's request to designate his property as a CPD zone and continue with his plans of a campground with recreation activities. Sincerely, Karen Cook. To the commission, as the property owner of the land directly across Resort Drive, I have a few questions and concerns I'd like addressed. Will the campground be nightly rentals or semi-permanent? What type of recreation activities? Will they be for campers only or the general public? Will there be noise restrictions or curfews at night for the noise impact? What is the impact to the traffic and parking along Resort Drive that's already heavily impacted from the improvements on Grindstone Lake? Assuming all the CPUD requirements are being addressed, such as area requirements, height, yard, setback, off-street parking, fencing, walls, signs, lighting, landscape, erosion, sedimentation control, open space requirements, I still have concerns about the impact to the surrounding property values. What is the projected property value, plus or minus? How will it be addressed? As a residential property owner with additional planned residence across the street and up the hill, that most desirable amount view overlooking the proposed property, we have real concerns that having a commercial property directly below our back deck will have a negative impact on our property value. Thank you for your consideration to these concerns. David Denton. I'm sure if this case were submitted in some more affluent areas of the village, it would have already been disapproved. However, as a homeowner in this area, which seems to be the target of commercialization here recently with no regard for its natural beauty, landscape, and wildlife, I guess greed, profit, and the almighty dollar outweighs it all. Grindstone Lake, which was once a natural, scenic, pleasurable place to visit, has become so recreationally commercialized for profit that it is not a pleasant place to visit anymore. As a homeowner, the peace, tranquility, and livability in this area would be greatly impacted by an RV campground, all in the name of profit. Respectfully submitted, Bill McGriff. Dear Village of Ruidoso Planning Commission, it has come to my attention that they want to put a campground and fun park down the hill from my home. This weekend there was a banner posted that said RV tent camping fun park, and there were lots of cars out there, along with some bouncy things and an ice cream truck. I don't know what was going on, but there was a lot of noise and cars. I thought the meeting to approve his idea had not happened yet, but it seems like they've gone ahead and done it. My husband and I moved to the neighborhood because of peace and quiet, nearness to the lake. We used to love to go fishing in the quiet, scenic, out of the way Grindstone Lake. It was pleasurable to sit and enjoy the wildlife, harmony, and silence. There was no boom boxes, blaring loud music like there's been lately, ruining the peace and nature that most people have always come to Ruidoso to experience. I've always felt that I am out in the country in this neighborhood. When I go to the store, I talk about going to town, even when it's just a few miles away. That's why I moved to the quiet community. Don't change that. In the past, it's only been motorcycle weekends that stopped our peaceful community. Since the Wibbit last summer, the traffic has increased tremendously. It is like they know this great little shortcut through our neighborhood. Recent weekends, since the opening of the Grindstone Lake, there are crowds out of people and the traffic doesn't stop. I feel it is so overpopulated, it's endangering the local people due to the stream of traffic and the parking issues on the narrow roads and the fire danger. The weekend traffic noise already comes up the hill to my home. I sure don't want a campground with cars coming and going any time of the day and night, campfires, outdoor grills, partying, and loud music. I believe this noise will drop our property values. I vote no. Also, I feel this is not fair to have a meeting, discussion, or vote until the rest of the second home neighbors can be here to know what's going on. Most do not even know about it. Sincerely, Rebecca Ott. Dear Ruidoso, Village of Ruidoso Planning Commission, I just discovered they want to put a campground fun park across the street from my home. This weekend I actually saw a sign posted there that said RV tent camping fun park, and there were many cars out along with some blow up things and ice cream trucks. I'm not sure what was going on, but there was a lot of noise and traffic. I moved to this area because I like the peace and quiet. It's already crowded since they started advertising Grindstone Lake, and it's hard to get out of my street onto a resort during the weekend due to the incredible amount of traffic that now exists. Recently, I've had many missing tools and items from my yard due to theft. I do not want people hanging around here and get the idea they can come help themselves to stuff. We do not have any idea who would come to the campground. and what kind of people they are, honest or not. Then there's a noise that will come with the cars in all hours of the night, not to mention drinking and partying. I live up the hill. Noise travels up the hill, so it'll be louder where I'm at than the site. Campers want to grill out and have fires. Our forests and homes are already in danger of destruction. This is not a good idea, and I do not want to see this addition to the neighborhood noise level. I'm also concerned with the noise that will drop our property values. Please say no. Sincerely, Rogelio Lopez. Dear Village of Ruidoso Planning Commission, it hurts my heart to write this letter as James and Suze Townsend were and are my neighbors and friends. When I first moved into the neighborhood, the Grindstone stables were across the street from my house. The stables seemed like a pretty quiet, entertaining operation. I did not realize that it would bring horseflies and manure smells to my front yard and sometimes to my deck. But James was so friendly and accommodating, and both James and Susie were great neighbors. We learned to overlook it. It was, however, thrilled when they moved the stables up the hill and there were no more horseflies at my home or stench of the horse poop. We moved to the sleepy little Mount Forest town for peace and quiet. I love the location of my home because it's near to the town. Walking distance to the lake, has beautiful ponderosa pines, and was like being out in the country. This was due to the silent neighborhood, vast expanses across the street from me, and no neighbors really close to my house. There were so many trees on the property that created seclusion and buffered the sound. Then the village sent a tree inspector to tell me that I need to cut down 50% of my trees, many that were big, beautiful ponderosa pines. Being a good citizen, I followed the new guidelines, but my privacy was invaded, and now I heard the noise of the neighborhood that I had previously not. Daily hiking became a part of my life for exercise, fresh air, and peacefulness in the nature of the Grindstone Lake. I walked from my house across the street to the road that now runs to the stables, as well as between the disc golf to the backside of the dam, around the lake and back home. For many years, there was no Grindstone disc golf course, so on the way back, I would usually lay in the meadow under a tree and look up at the stars, the sky, and relax. There were different routes to walk on the way back through that area, near the creek until the village parks and recreation department installed a disc golf course. Much of the peace disappeared with the new addition to the neighborhood, but I comforted myself with the fact that except on tournament weekends, disc golf players were fairly quiet and mostly friendly, plus the kids in town needed something constructive for entertainment. Last summer, when I returned home from a trip, I went out to my usual silent back deck to enjoy the sun and nature, at which time I was extremely surprised to realize there were many loud voices, lots of traffic sounds in the road in front of my house. I peered through the trees only to grasp that there were people everywhere on the road, walking, running, getting in and out of cars, and talking very excitedly. I thought there must be a tournament at the disc golf course, but there usually aren't that many cars for those tournaments. As I tried to figure out what was happening, I remembered that there had been some other events a couple of times where lots of people camped out, so maybe that was happening. Eventually, I discovered that the Whippet had arrived at Grindstone Lake. It does not feel fair that I'm a homeowner in this neighborhood and has been greatly affected by the addition of the appearance without warning, much less a vote from the neighbors. I could not have fathomed the people in the noise and the traffic in the neighborhood due to a new piece of entertainment. There was continual traffic and people of the normally soundless resort road. There were cars parked on the side of the road, almost down to Carrizo Canyon Road, with people waiting for a shuttle up to Grindstone Lake, because the parking lot there was full. Some groups of people with children usually choose to walk up the narrow road with all the new crazy traffic creating a safety hazard. Recently, when Grindstone Lake was reopened after the virus quarantine, the number of people at the lake were incredible. On a non-holiday weekend, there were 2,000 people at Grindstone Lake for the weekend. It was crowded, noisy, trashy, and the air was filled with cigarette smoke and loud music from sort of a boombox. As I walked from the beautiful, peaceful Fisherman's Trail along the lake, there were places I had to cover my mouth and noise to protect myself from the cigarette smoke in my face. And there were other spots I anxiously hurried past to escape the loud, crazy, blaring music. This is not the beautiful forest, peaceful nature of Ruidoso that I moved here for, and that most people look forward to coming to Ruidoso to experience. Yesterday, Parks and Rec estimated there were 2,000 people at Grindstone Lake in one day. I did not go yesterday, but I could hear constant traffic with cars coming and going from my home. This evening, I hiked with my friend and city councilman's wife around the lake, and we were horrified to see the piles of trash around our lovely lake. There were beer bottles, plastic bags, along with plastic pieces of Lunchables, fishing lines, cigarette butts, all over the place, and so much more. Concerned for our wildlife, we picked up what we could near the water's edge. Apparently, the lovely improvements of the lake, along with the advertising, have made people from all over feel welcome to take over our beautiful environment and sadly trash it. We don't need any more uncaring, irresponsible people, our forests and neighborhoods that a campground could bring. I feel sorry for the wildlife at Grindstone Lake. During the quarantine and before Fisherman's Trails closed, when we hiked and felt like we'd become friends with one of the two great blue heron, who let me photograph him from as close as 25 feet. A smaller heron that I had not seen before appeared for us to enjoy. We observed an osprey, turkey vultures, and a variety of little birds, and spent enjoying many geese and ducks. It was peaceful and quiet, and a few people that were there took the environment in and were kind to the wildlife. The herons, ospreys, turkeys, vultures, and the geese are now in hiding. Prior to the vivid introduction, the advertising, there were more people than before enjoying the full Grindstone Lake, but they were quiet folks who came to be peaceful and enjoy the serenity of nature. A campground would only bring more people to scare off the wildlife. Already, the village has affected the quiet home I purchased multiple times, starting with the removal of the trees that took away my discreet seclusion, the addition of the disc golf course that brought the traffic and the noise to the serene community, bringing the Wibbit that took over the road in front of my house, replacing my silent yard and deck, and now the advertising to bring thousands of people every weekend to the area who are trying to park and get to Grindstone Lake to make noise, who don't take care of it. Please do not take away any more of our peaceful neighborhood by allowing the campground across the road from my home. A campground will bring more traffic to the already congested road. Cars coming and going at any time of the night, partying, loud music, cigarette smoke, grilling out, noise, and more trash in our forest. Rules can be made, but who is going to enforce them? No one enforces Grindstone Lake. We do not need fire hazards in our forest, area close to the town, much less to our home. The neighbors do not want any more commotion, noise, and smoke rises, so it will come to my home since I'm uphill. I'm allergic to cigarette smoke, and I live in the town with the clean air on purpose. We're already concerned with our property values because of the continual uproar, and campground across from us is not going to improve the value of our home. This weekend, I was surprised to see a banner by the road on site in question that said RV tent camping fun park, since I thought the meeting to approve or disapprove the facility had not happened yet. Yesterday, there was a fun house blown up, and there were so many cars and people that the ice cream truck showed up. I did not go over to check it out, but took a picture from my deck that I have attached to this email. Also, I believe it is unfair to bring this topic to discuss and vote during an unusual time. Many of my full-time neighbors do not have computers, technology skills, or know how to use Zoom. Only those who are within 200 feet of the site receive letters, but because they are uphill, they will be affected by the noise, smoke, and should be notified. Most of the second homeowners are not here to know what's going on, as they received a letter from the village encouraging them not to come while we are under the COVID-19 restrictions. And if they do, they'll have to stay quarantined for 14 days. The entire neighborhood should be informed and have a say for something that will affect their peace and quiet as well as property values. In the past, homeowners could escape noise by leaving on motorcycle weekends, but a full-time campground with no control over who comes and what they do is inescapable and unacceptable in this already congested area. I vote with an empathetic no to this campground concept in my neighborhood. A truly concerned neighbor, Dana Theory. And attached is a photograph of a lot of vehicles parked along Resort Drive. And another. A couple more.
These are all the same photos that were emailed to us, correct?
Yes. Okay, and that is all of the written comments that we've received. Do we have anybody on Zoom that would like to?
Oh, we have to open public comment first.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm still your thunder mark.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and open up the public comment section, please. And if anybody has anything they wish to talk about, now, if she's already read your statement into the fact, you don't need to say it again. So anybody that has not spoken.
Dallas has one in his office.
Okay.
Okay.
Dallas, if you'll go ahead with the public you have.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Hi, I just came to let you know that I care and that I'm concerned. And you've just heard my letter, so you probably don't have any more info that you need, but you're welcome to ask me questions. And I'm very concerned that so many of our neighbors don't have Zoom ability or technology ability to know that this is going on.
And that yours was the last letter we read?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. It was very, very detailed. Does anybody have any questions for her since she's here?
You can address the
Can I
questions and
comment?
concerns.
I would like to comment on the fact, yes, I did allow people to park. I wasn't charging for that. And I felt because the way Saturday there was vehicles, there was probably 30 vehicles that were parked on the side of the road in the Frisbee golf area. And I thought I was helping out by trying to make things safer so there was less people on the road. And I've been fined as of this morning and still have to deal with that. So until we know more, I will not be offering any services to help anybody out.
You have a question?
Yeah, I've got a comment. It sounds like the neighbors are really more pissed off at what the village has done to the area, and yet they're going to hold this guy responsible for it.
Is there anybody else that's on the Zoom or YouTube that wants to speak? Can we tell? How do we tell?
Nobody's raising their hand.
If you want to speak and you want to,
Dallas?
So, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to hold Jesse responsible for what's happened with the traffic and the noise. That's a whole issue with Parks and Recs that we need to deal with, and the trash and that kind of thing. We just don't want to be adding anything else because we're already dealing with so much.
thank you. Okay, if anybody wishes to speak, please raise your hand in the, I don't know how you do it, but
There's a button.
there's a button you push
Push to raise their hand.
to raise your hand to talk. If nobody's wanting to speak, I'm going to close the public input section. I'll give you a
I'd
few.
like to.
Hello.
Okay,
Name?
state your name, please.
My name is Richard Burns, and you read my my questions, and most of the things that I addressed, everybody else addressed also. I think we're all concerned that adding, more to this very restricted area is just going to cause a mess. I mean, I understand what the property owner is trying to do. He's got a piece of property. He wants to create some commercial value with it. And whichever commissioner said that most of the things were addressed to the village is probably correct. I don't see any solutions that are being presented of how we're going to address the existing conditions, let alone add more traffic, more congestion, more noise to an area that isn't really set up for it. And this may not be the right venue for that, but I think we're all concerned about that. That's the gist of what I heard in everybody's concerns. And that's all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you. Mr. Townsend, you had something to say?
Yes, I understand everybody's concerns, and just so you guys know, I've lived on this piece of property for 30 years, And when I allowed people to park on my property, the next morning I was out there picking up beer cans and water bottles and trash and dirty diapers. And then even walked up and down the bar ditches from the Frisbee Park all the way towards the lake and picked up trash that people had thrown out. So I understand the concern, but I do live on the property and plan on being a presence there and monitoring who's there. And I'm not gonna just allow herds of people to come in and think that it's a drunken brawl and a place to unwind in a bad nature. If they wanna come enjoy the mountains and the scenery and the beauty, we have elk and deer that live on my property that I go out of my way to try to provide safe area, and I don't bother them. They come down in the evenings, and I understand why everybody lives in Ruidoso. So I just want to try to help you guys understand that I'm not trying to do this without understanding there is an element of responsibility that goes with it also.
So I have a question for you. So whose jumping balloons and stuff like that was out there?
Mine.
So you put those out there for?
Just for entertainment. That was kind of an experiment. I've got some friends that were in town that have little kids, and we blew them up and let them play on them.
Were you operating you weren't charging at all?
No.
Okay, because that was obviously one of their concerns, that you were already operating the project without getting approval, so. And you said you were cited
Yeah,
for,
for operating without a business license.
so if we, as it say, go ahead and we're gonna approve it, if you're not following the rules now, what makes you think that we're gonna believe you're gonna follow the rules and keep the quiet noise down and stuff like that?
Because this was I thought I was helping out. I thought because there was an unsafe problem already created by the lake, that I was trying to do something that was responsible for the area. And I was obviously wrong about that, and I won't let that happen again.
So you're saying you charge no one for anything that you
I was
provide?
accepting donations to park because there was already so many people that by 11 o'clock on both Saturday and Sunday, there was people trying to park in the Frisbee golf course.
Yeah.
And I either was gonna have to sit there and monitor my property and turn people away, or allow them to park so that it was safe and tell them, yeah, I'm not allowed to charge you, but I'm accepting donations. And that's what happened, and that's what I was cited for.
Does anybody, you guys have questions up there? Ron, Scarlett, Alan?
Yes, are we out of public hearing?
No, we're still in public hearing, but does anybody else wish to speak up there?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the sign, about the RVs and stuff.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I mean,
I'm sorry, tell me your name.
why was that put up already?
Oh, it's Ron.
Yeah,
There was supposed to be a sign with it that said coming soon, and that one had blown down. I didn't keep an eye on it, so I took everything down this morning.
Something additional to add to the record that I feel is valuable is, there's been 2 criminal complaints filed, from the events that took place this weekend, from code enforcement. He was cited for unpermitted signage as well as operating a business without a business license. So we'll enter that for evidence into the record.
Okay, thank you. Chad, you guys have anything? Anybody? Well, should I close the public? Nobody else has anything else to say?
I have questions after the hearing.
Okay, since nobody's raised their hand, right? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing section, and I'll open up for questions from the council.
Mr. Chairman, Alan Briley. One is for Sam. So the current PUD designation that they have, what can they currently do that is kind of in relation to what they're trying to do? I know there's horseback riding, stables, or at least there used to be. So what can they do with current regular PUD that they can't necessarily do without the commercial PUD?
With the current PUD, it doesn't specify, it's more of a blanket to allow for the creative development of the property as long as it's in line with the codes and comprehensive plan. So we need for him to designate what the property will be utilized as so that we can go under those codes and have specific codes to hold that property standards to.
Okay, and my next question was in the assessment impact checklist that I guess you distribute to your staff. Police, fire, say no impact anticipated. Under transportation, impact traffic, pedestrian ingress, all is no impact anticipated. I'm just wondering if when you distribute these assessment impact checklists, do they have all the information that we have today? Because it sure seems like there should be, I guess, a little bit of concern about traffic, a little bit concern about police and fire, but I guess I'm asking about our staff's process in the assessment impact statement.
The staff is presented with the applicant's application along with their site plan. And so that was what their assessment. I feel that the ingress and egress, as long as it's properly designed by Jesse, I don't think it would be an issue as they have noted here. And they don't anticipate, he stated that there would not be any campfires allowed on his property. So that's where I'm sure fire didn't have an additional concern.
Thank you.
But they have been presented with this.
Okay.
One additional, you'll see in the case study where we were talking about the 404 permit from the Army Corps of Engineers, that's something that'll have to be worked out with Jesse prior to development. And that's been addressed from the staff too.
Chad, Scarlett, you guys have anything? Ron? Bart?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. So we're just gonna accept a motion to approve or deny the concept plan.
And the site plan, and to designate them as a CPUD to fall under that set of code standards.
So
The next step would be the preliminary plat procedure, where we need more details showing where sanitary services, restrooms, ingress, egress, I mean, we need detailed information as set forth by the code. That would be the next step.
So you just can't go and open up and get ready. There's a lot of things you have to do.
The conditional use would not be approved right now. We're just designating the site.
So the fact that this is PUD right now, it has to be designated either commercial or residential PUD.
Or mixed.
Or mixed. So that's all we're really trying to do is enable this property to be utilized under one of those designations at this point.
So Samantha, once we do designate it, does it come back before planning and zoning when it comes up with a more, complete plan, or who does it go before?
Yes, Commissioner Michelina, it would come back before the planning commission with all of the details that are set forth in code that are required for recreational vehicle park. And any of those sections that he cannot meet, he will need to ask for you all to grant him a variance on. And after you all make the recommendation to approve, should that be your recommendation, it will go on to the village council, and they will have the say as to if this gets to continue on. So it'll have to preliminary public hearings.
Okay.
Anybody else have any more questions? If not, should I go ahead and ask for a motion? I will take a motion to approve or deny. Anybody? Or are we still thinking? I don't like being able to not look at somebody and, I have no idea if they hear me.
We can hear you, Chairman.
Yeah.
Thank you. Want to take a few minutes? Think about it?
I'd like to make another comment before.
Sure.
I have a lot of sympathy for the property owners around there with what they're dealing with. And here again, I feel it's something that it's been well, the fact that it's been an overwhelming success, with it and all the attraction to Grindstone and the trails, developments and all that good stuff, and the lack of other venues, i.e. Bonita Lake being closed and stuff like that to relieve some of that pressure. It's being overutilized, and these people are bearing the brunt of all the excessive activity. But by the same token, I would hope that they would, address the village over those issues in trying to mitigate some of the excess noise and traffic and stuff. But I feel it's unfair to hold somebody back from developing and utilizing their property. And, but I feel like the village is really the culpable one in this situation that all these neighbors are dealing with, not this gentleman.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else wish to make a comment?
I have a statement, just, should the planning commission approve the site plan and designation as a CPD, no development can take place until we have, the conditional use approved for the recreational, activities.
Right.
This is just site plan.
So what happens if, we get more complaints of there? You realize if once this goes through, if it does go through, that, you're not going to be able to operate it until you get final approval, right? And if you get caught again doing it and get another fine, you're probably not going to get final approval. So.
Yes, sir, I understand that.
Okay. So, again, anybody wish to make a motion?
Based upon the foregoing findings of fact per 54-67 Village Code, I move to approve the James Townsend Tract 1A as a commercial planned unit development zone and the proposed site plan and concept approval for case SP-2020-0289 to proceed on to the next step of approval, being the preliminary development plan and the submission of the conditional use application.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Briley?
I'm gonna vote no.
Commissioner Byers?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly? Commissioner Kelly?
No.
Commissioner Michelina?
No.
Commissioner Tucker?
Aye.
Commissioner Flack?
No.
In recording efforts, that is 4 nays,
Mhm.
2 positives. The motion does not pass.
So you have the option to go in front of council correct?
This council?
The village
Village
council. And get them to
You'll,
appeal and you have how many days to appeal?
you have 15 days to submit an application for appeal. So I will email you the application.
Right, thank you, everybody that was involved in that.
So how is the man supposed to use his property if he can't get it zoned?
Okay,
I mean,
It's already zoned. It's just,
The concept approval was denied. This
I thought
concept.
it was the zoning that we were.
well, we were doing both, the concept and the zone and the C. So, yeah, she'll send you the information that you need to appeal. All right, thank you.
Thank you. We'll give her a second to set up.
I should probably change my desk as well.
So I went to Bonito Lake, while she's setting up, just to drive out there. There was 1,000 people out there, out past the lake where the National Forest is.
Uh-huh.
It was packed with campers. And it was crazy. It was a lot of people. And it's such a beautiful place. So right now, we're just waiting for them to reset up the recording equipment and stuff. So is that, if I would have yes, and the 33 tie, then I Christ. Okay. Just wait. Are we on mute?
Yes. But not on YouTube.
Okay.
Is it okay?
You are back on the record.
Okay. We still on mute?
Okay, Chairman Black, our next case is a site plan and concept approval. SP 2020-0302, Joe Dan Ortiz is requesting a site plan and concept approval of a new, it says metal building, it is not a metal building, it's a stick-built building with a, I believe wood siding. We'll let Joe Dan describe that further. Located at Lot 9A, Block 1 of the Town and Country Estate subdivision, located at 1037 Beecham Drive in Ruidoso.
Okay, so is the applicant online?
Yes.
Okay.
yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead and tell us what you're doing.
I'm the owner of Livewire Electric. We're an electrical contracting business here in Ruidoso in Lincoln County. And I propose to build a new shop, mostly storage for my work trucks because I've outgrown where I'm at currently.
Okay. That's pretty basic, simple. And now it's not going to be a metal building like it, right? It's going to be a regular.
No, sir, it's gonna be a stick frame building. There is an existing slab that is on the property, kind of mainly the reason I purchased this property. The slab is a 40 by 100 slab. It does have a footer. I've already got an estimate from RC Long in construction to erect this building. It's gonna have 3 garage doors, 2 on the east side and 1 on the south side.
Mhm.
It'll have another door for employees to enter the building.
So I think one of their letters, the concern were, is it going to be fenced in? Are you going to have privacy fencing? Is that going to be part of your plan?
Are you gonna require me to put up a fence?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
But that was not part of your plan at this point.
It was not. I mean, if I need to erect a fence, I'll erect a fence, but it was not part of my plan to put up a fence. There's a pretty good, they cut the mountain pretty good on that by Hanson Drive. And so like, the only part, this neighbor in particular, the only part of the building he would actually be able to see from his house would be like a couple, 3 feet of the building and the roof.
I think their concern was over the supplies and whatnot being stashed or stored outside.
Yes, sir. My supplies are gonna be inside the building. Again, I don't want them to get stolen, rained on, snowed on, you know. But so that's my thoughts.
So you're going to have a full-size building with like full-size garage so you can just park your vehicles in there at night, or?
Yeah, yes, sir. I've currently got 3 work trucks going, and my employees will pull up into the employee parking, get out of their personal truck, get into their work truck, and let's go to work.
Cool. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So when looking at lot 8C from, I guess that's to the south, it looks like traffic flow is from another lot. Do you have access permission to go in and out of lot 8C?
We have an easement, yes.
Okay.
But I think primarily what we're gonna wanna use is this other entrance on the far,
In between.
North is the top.
Off of Hanson?
yeah, that, yeah.
Okay. It appears to be fairly steep, especially more toward your building, but not necessarily right there at that drive. But so the driveway that's on Meacham looks like it's kind of to that building to the north, that metal building. Is it a shared driveway or is that yours?
It's my belief that that is actually my driveway that no water screen printing uses, which I don't have an issue with.
Okay. That all I'm saying is they might need to get an easement like you have with 8C to get an access across your property to that property, but that's a different issue. So the 9 parking spaces are for employee parking during daylight hours, nothing parked overnight. You're saying everything will be inside the building overnight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I have for now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else? If no one else has comment, I'll open up the public hearing section. Does anyone online wish to speak? You can raise your hand or speak and tell us who you are.
Yeah, hi, my name is Scott Northam. I'm property owner at 1035 Meacham, that lot C that you were seeing in the plat. There is an easement going through my parking lot into this property. The things that I'm concerned about is the additional traffic of the work trucks coming into my parking lot while I have elderly customers coming into my CPA office. Plus the delivery trucks, if they come in, I'd rather have them come through the Hanson entrance, both in and out, rather than incur the wear and tear on my asphalt. The second thing is that the property on 1037 is significantly higher in elevation than my property. And I already have whenever it rains, have a river flowing down through the asphalt to the exit there on Meacham in front of my place. What I would really concern is to see how the runoff is going to be diverted away from my property once that asphalt parking lot on 1037 is put down.
Okay, Scott, just real quick, I don't have any intentions on using your driveway. Hanson is going to be the driveway of my choice as far as the employees, work trucks, delivery trucks.
Okay. I would appreciate that because we've had near misses when elderly people just try to pull out of Meacham, getting in and out of our parking lot, and having the work trucks coming through at all times of the day. Really would disrupt my business and my clients.
I couldn't agree with you more, Scott. So that being said, I have zero interest in using your entrance.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Back to the drainage. I'm almost 100% positive. Well, first of all, I wasn't planning on blacking it. It was going to be gravel.
Okay.
Second thing, I'm almost positive that the building inspector is going to make me put in a French drain and a gutter system with a French drain.
Okay. Yeah, as long as it doesn't divert onto my property, I think I'll be okay with that.
Yes, sir. No, sir. We're going to put in a gutter system with a French drain.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Scott.
That's all. I'm sorry?
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right, anybody else wish to speak?
I have one.
Yes, we have a letter.
Yeah, it's a written.
Okay, we have a letter that's going to be read into record. Please stand by.
Dear Planning Commission, we, ABCD Fleming Real Estate, own the property at 303 Hanson Drive. Our family has owned this property since the mid-1970s. We were notified of the site plan proposal number 2020-0302 of Mr. Jodan Ortiz. We have seen Mr. Ortiz's building plan and do not have a problem with the building. However, we do have a problem with the visibility of what will be his stack lot located on the right side of the building, directly in front of our property's driveway. We requested an 8-foot wooden screening fence be erected along the back of Mr. Ortiz's property to reduce the visibility of any future unsightly stack lot items. The neighbor, Noisy Water Screen Printing at 1041 Meacham, already has an unscreened, unsightly stack lot that we look at every day. We do not want to have to look at a second unscreened, unsightly stack lot every day. With the wooden screen fence added to the design, we approve of the development. Without a wooden screen fence, we do not approve of the development. Thank you, David Fleming.
Is that it?
That's
Is that the one? Okay. Any other comments from the gallery?
I have a question, actually.
Yes,
If I were to put a said fence, would I have to apply for a variance at that point?
No,
No. Okay.
just a building permit.
Okay. But what if I'm within the setback with said fence?
You can go all the way to your property line.
It's commercial.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Residential.
Okay.
Okay, no other questions? I'm going to close the public hearing section. If anybody would like to make do you have anything else, Samantha?
No.
Sam, explain to me what a stack lot
Yeah,
is
yeah,
and
yeah.
what it means in this reference letter?
I'm not familiar with this resident or what their terminology is, so
Okay, I'm not
I don't
either,
want
so.
to speak for them.
So I guess when we talk about the access being primarily off of Hanson, I'm assuming that his parking lot layout would have to go the other direction instead of the diagonal that it is coming from lot 8C. So he's going to change that up a little bit. And then I guess I also put on my other work hat is if they plan to use Meacham as an access, primary access, because it's a change of use, they have to go through the DOT permit section for driveways because it's a change of use.
I would think that would be correct, right? Yes. But they could make the Hanson Drive their inner, I mean, they have an exit only, but they could do enter and exit right there and not have to do any of that, right? So,
To be perfectly honest, I envision using Hanson for entering and exiting because from the Meacham standpoint, it's on a kind of a curb. Yeah. Any traffic that's coming from the Fardy's direction. And so it's kind of a blind corner right there.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Does anybody else have anything? No? I'll take a motion to approve or deny. And if I don't necessarily think we need to do the screening, but I guess if y'all wanted to, what is the commissioners thinking about the fence? Are y'all fine with the way it is, or are y'all gonna want to require a fence, which I think is probably not.
It's so much lower than Hanson. I guess I'm not seeing how there's going to be much of a visual impact. But
I agree.
That's my idea, and I was going to make the motion to not have that fence in there. So if you guys want it, you can make the motion.
No, go ahead. Well, does anybody else?
I agree.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and make a motion, Alan, please.
Okay, based on the foregoing findings back per section 5467 of the Village Code, I move to grant the request site plan and concept plan approval for case SP 2020-0302 with stated in the case report.
Second.
Got a second from Scarlett?
Mhm.
Can I get a roll call when you have time, Miss?
Commissioner Briley?
Aye.
Commissioner Byers?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Michelina?
Aye.
Commissioner Tucker?
Aye.
Commissioner Flack?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, guys. Good luck.
All
Thank
right,
you.
appreciate it.
Okay, moving on. Miss Mendez, por favor.
Okay, Chairman Flack, our next applicant is a conditional use approval for case number 2020-0318, request for approval to operate a group home within a C2 community commercial district of Block 2, east 160 feet of Lot A, Tract A of the Palmer Gateway subdivision located at 637 Sudworth Drive.
Do we have an applicant here or somebody who's representing
He
them?
is on. Lori, can you hear us?
I'm here.
Would you like to describe your request?
Yes, the High Mountain Youth Project
is requesting a conditional use permit to operate a group home or youth crisis shelter at this property at 637 Sutterth Drive in Ruidoso. If we are granted the conditional use permit, we're going to purchase the property and renovate the buildings to meet any building codes and CYFD regulations. We have successfully operated an evening drop-in center in a commercial building in Gyra Plaza, 700 Meacham Drive, for the last 2.5 years, since February 2018, and we've served youth who are at risk of homelessness or experiencing homelessness and other vulnerable youth at that site in an evening after-school program. The group home that we want the permit for will initially provide shelter for up to 12 sleeping students. Expansion over time to include more students will depend on two things: the hiring of additional adult staff and also keeping in mind the per child square footage requirements for having sleeping quarters. So we have about 12 or more supporters of Mountain Youth Project here today. I don't know, some of the others may be on the phone, but you also have letters of support as well as opposition. And so we would be glad to answer any questions. I would also like to be able to call on other members of our High Mountain Youth Project who have different levels of expertise with this.
So are you going to read in all these letters too? Do you want to do the opposition?
We have 3.
Okay, so you want to do the opposition ones first and then do the 4?
We do have an opposition in person and 2 by writing.
Okay, so do you want to bring the guy in?
Where is he in there with Alex?
No, Christy, she's on.
Yes.
So I need to open up the public hearing section.
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna open up public hearing, so just one moment.
You want it? If you're ready to move into public hearing.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move into public hearing and we go ahead and open it up. Please, go ahead. Stephanie, tell her.
Okay, Christy, we can hear
Yes.
you. So I have stated that you were wishing to speak in opposition of the proposal. So if you will just kind of explain to them what your concerns are and why you oppose that.
Okay, well, my concerns, first of all, is the noise and the traffic. And I'm not quite sure on what at-risk children means, because when I went to, I don't know if I should continue or stop, because I have other stuff about their website also, so I've never done this before. Do I continue of what I want to say?
Let it flow. Let it flow.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, on the website it says it's they have a place for children to go after school, and that's what they want to make next door. I live next door to the place. I'm the only home here, and that's why my concerns were for the traffic and the noise. And if it's just a place for children to go for after school stuff, they already have the Boys and Girls Club. So I don't quite understand what at-risk children means. So I need people to explain exactly what at-risk means before I continue on my feelings towards no.
Okay, Christy, thank you for that question. I would like to call on our program manager, Ms. Barbara Whipple, to talk about what at-risk means.
Hi, everyone. Christy, the idea of at-risk is really about levels of poverty, or a child that, by virtue of lacking a resource, may not be able to continue on with their education to graduate from high school, or lacking a resource that would give them food stability, or lacking the resource that would give them clothes to go to school, or school supplies. Oftentimes, the idea of at-risk really is about being at risk to not have what you need because of a lack of financial stability, and sometimes a lack of parental support, oftentimes tied to lack of financial stability. So when we look at that idea, we're talking about at risk to not do as well as he or she could because they lack resources. Does that help you understand what?
It helps me understand. It's just that we have other programs already in our community for that kind of situations. And I don't feel comfortable with having those any kind of just children next door to my home. Like I said, due to the noise, I'm the only home here. I've lived here 20 years and it's been pretty peaceful. The daycare that was there before this occurred was an awful experience, and I don't think it'll do much good for the property value of this area either. So,
well, and that part of the reason that we exist is because the Boys and Girls Club addresses children of a certain age. We provide services for middle school and high schoolers. So we're a different population venue. We are very clear about noise and being extremely respectful of our neighbors. The students come into our program. They do the things they're there to do. They don't run around outside. They're not noisy. We encourage them to be very gracious and to be very aware of the people around them.
Well, so it's considered then like a school next to my home?
Well, it's a program to encourage students to stay in school. And yes, we do have study corrals. Yes, we do have volunteer tutors come in and help them with their homework. Other volunteers come and engage them in games after school before dinner's ready. We provide a hot meal. They help clean up the area and then go back to their homework, and then they're either picked up by their guardian, their parent, or we transport them home.
So it's not an actual living quarters for them?
Not the drop-in center. The building behind would become the facility where students could stay overnight if they needed a stable environment.
So in other words, so it leads back to the traffic. There's going to be traffic in and out 7 days a week.
I would like to address the traffic situation, Christy. I realize that we share a driveway.
Yes, ma'am.
If we buy the property, we'll share a driveway.
Yes, ma'am.
And otherwise, you have no way to get in and out of your property, right? So we would work as we would need to have that for emergency use in case the emergency vehicle has to come in. But we could really work out something where, it has another driveway on the other side. It's like a horseshoe driveway. And that other driveway is adequate for what we need. And to park over on the other side, that would be the east side of the property over there. So we would really like to be good neighbors and share the driveway with you. We won't need to use it as much probably as the daycare did. The other thing is our volunteers, they're really good at doing what we tell them to do. And so they'll park and use the driveway as we instruct them to do. The kids, on the other hand, you would think that because we have teenagers that there's a bunch of cars. These kids don't typically have cars. Of all of the students we have had in the past 2.5 years at the Evening Drop-In Center over there at Gyro Plaza, we've had 2 or 3 students total that had cars. And so the kids driving around shouldn't be an issue. Remember, these kids are economically deprived, they have housing insecurity, they have food insecurity. They want to come and they want to feel normal. They want to be cared for. They want to learn how to be part of the community. And that's what we can offer to them too. And we can offer that to you as your neighbor. We're different than the daycare. We won't have 63 kids, okay, there every day. All right?
I was told that also when he was over there as a daycare, and it didn't turn out so great. And the other thing is, I'm a licensed marijuana card holder, and that isn't going to work over well if that's considered a school next door with underage children.
Can you
So I
say
don't know.
more how that would impact you?
I wouldn't want to be in trouble, but I don't know, you're not allowed to be around schools smoking marijuana per se, and that smell and these kids at risk to me means they're not just poverty. That means they have some kind of issues going on other than poverty. And I don't know how marijuana smell and stuff would be handled with you being next door. I just don't understand how that works.
I never would have thought of that. Interesting.
And like I said, the traffic has never been any good. They fly up my driveway.
Mm-hmm.
I have animals and children that come to my home, and it just never has worked out. I don't know what exactly you want to consider at risk means. There's other places for poverty children and stuff. So,
Christy, these kids are at risk of not graduating from high school.
Okay, well,
if they don't have an intervention.
May I speak, Lori?
Yes, Deanna, thank you.
Hi, Deanna Oberhue. I'm a board member of Pine Mountain Youth, and I also teach at the high school. So these are kids that their water's been turned off at home, or they're sleeping on somebody else's couch, and they don't have a place to wash their clothes. They don't have a place to do their homework. And so when we say at risk, they're not at risk for going to jail because they're troubled kids. These are kids that are at risk of not graduating high school because they don't want to come to school because their clothes smell, because their water's been turned off, because they haven't been able to shower. So this is the sort of thing that we help provide at the drop-in center right now, and we would like to continue to do that. A place for them to wash their clothes and do their homework, and eventually, with the building in the back, if they don't have a place to sleep for the night, we would have somebody on staff, and it would be an emergency situation for them.
Thank you, Deanna. Okay, does anybody else wish to speak? That's actually live?
I did raise my hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Brenda Restivo. And Christy, I understand your concerns about what's going on. I volunteer, and that'll be one of the letters that are written, as the bookkeeper for Pine Mountain. I've been doing it since 2018. We at most have 3 cars. Now, the only time I think, because of the situation, having our own building, that we would have more than 3 or 4 cars is when we would have a board meeting. And that, which we've never had a place to hold them. So we've been moving around and holding them in different places. But it's not a continual thing. Board meetings are once a month, and there might be an advisory committee, so there might be 2. There's never traffic. There is never noise. These are the most well-behaved students. As in my letter, I said, I am like the quiet mouse that sneaks into the building. I'm never announced. Nobody knows when I'm coming, so these kids are not turning on their behavior or their reactions, or even the staff, how they perform when I show up in the building. I'm just there, and I've never observed any type of negative, abusive loud behavior at any point in time. I would also like to address your concerns about the Boys and Girls Club. I come from the East Coast, and I served for 12 years as a member of the board of directors of our local Boys and Girls Club. The programs that the Boys and Girls Club offer have nothing to do with what the services and the types of things that we provide here at High Mountain. Totally different concept. And, I love the Boys and Girls Club. I love what we've experienced over the years with them, but there are things that they can do, and there are things that we do that they can't. And I think that we provide those necessary services for students, and again, the term at-risk students that really need help in a nurturing environment, which they may or may not be getting at their present home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? If not, we're going to read these letters into record that we've gotten. I think there's quite a few.
I have me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. I'm sorry. I didn't ask the hours of operation for this. And, yeah, so like, what would the hours of operation be for this?
The hours of operation for a group home, in other words, a youth crisis shelter, there would be a staff person there 24 hours a day. Most of the time, you wouldn't have kids there 24 hours a day, but if one gets sick or something and has no other place to go, they may have to be there. The evening drop-in center opens at 4 in the evening, and it finishes up at 9. It opens a little early, like 2:30 on early dismissal days, so that the kids have a place to come when they get out of school early. The crisis shelter, which is what we need the conditional use permit for, that would start as soon as the evening program's over at 9.
Yeah.
Those kids would then go over into the sleeping quarters. Lights out at 10 o'clock, okay? No cell phones, no laptop, no devices. Lights out at 10, okay? And so that means no going outside, no anything else. These policies are going to be developed, but we have the examples of Assurance Home in Roswell and also Casa Q in Albuquerque to help us with figuring out how to do these things because it will be new for us having the overnight. So they will, and then they'll be monitored by an adult staff person. We have cameras everywhere to see, so we know what's going on. We obviously don't have them in the restrooms, but we have them every place else. And so we have a camera system, we have surveillance, and it's as much to keep the kids safe as it is to keep us safe from maybe what would happen in the neighborhood.
Well, I'm concerned about your cameras, and also why have you been denied other places in the village for this? For your overnight.
Is this germane to what we're talking about?
No, ma'am, it's not.
Okay.
Oh, it's not? Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna move on.
Yes, I would also like to make a comment.
Yes, ma'am. Your name,
I'm
please?
Vivian Isaacs, and I'm the Vice President of High Mountain Youth Project, and you have my letter of record. But I guess I would also like to say that we've addressed the issue of having tutors to help these students complete their high school education and to move from one grade to the next. But in the future, and really ongoing right now, there are students who come to us who have no idea how to do their laundry. And so these are skills that we teach them, as well as being able to pick up after themselves and have sitting down to a meal, setting the table, how to clear a table, how to interact with individuals as you are sitting there having a meal together, which many of them have never had that opportunity at all, and they share their experiences. We share with them. In addition to that, once we have the center and the facility to do so, we have incorporated programs where we would like to actually teach the students how to grocery shop, how to prepare a meal, how to prepare a menu, how to cook what is in the pantry whenever that's all that you have, so that they can be successful. So it's moving forward in many directions, you know, graduating from high school, but also being successful in our community once they have graduated from high school and go on to have families of their own. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Stephanie, we okay? No more hands?
I'm not showing any. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and read in the letters into the record.
Dear members of Ruidoso Planning and Zoning, I'm writing this in support of the conditional use permit for High Mountain Youth Project's Evening Drop-In and Study Center and Youth Crisis Center for overnight care of Lincoln County students who are in crisis. I have known about the HMYP since 2018 and I have seen the positive work it has done at the current location in Gyra Plaza. The services rendered to the youth of Lincoln County, Ruidoso, and Ruidoso Downs are not only essential but are a requisite for health and welfare of these shelter-impaired youth. The traffic impact will be negligible when compared to the existing businesses located in the area. Respectfully, Sam Williams. Dear members of the Village Planning and Zoning, I have been involved with HMYP since 2017, and when I served on the Community Advisory Council then in 2018, I became a member of the HMYP Board of Directors, where I currently serve as Vice President, which involves overseeing the operations of the Drop-In Study Center. During my time with HMYP, I have worked as a volunteer at the center and have witnessed many students who are caring and non-judgmental services. Many levels of need exist in our small mountain village, but we are living in a different time with various cultures and family situations. Seeing firsthand students who are accepting services from HMYP and its volunteers is very gratifying. The students are very appreciative of all that we do and how much our staff and volunteers truly care about each individual. The community of Ruidoso holds a very special place in my heart, as both of my now grown children were raised here, graduated from Ruidoso High School, and were very positive role models. When I moved to Ruidoso in 1968, I knew it was where I wanted my children to grow up, and even though they had gone to other places, they carry with them the values given to them by experiencing life in our mountain village. Today, our students are faced with difficult situations from families who are not there for them, not able to provide necessities. Thus, HMYP, its staff, volunteers, board members, as well as numerous community members and other from various regions of the U.S. are asking the commission to grant a conditional use permit for a new facility that can better serve the needs of the students as well as offer services including an overnight shelter. As a retired educator who has witnessed various levels of student needs from the West Coast to the East Coast and finally retiring after teaching in Albuquerque, I am committed to giving students all they need to be successful in life. Thank you to each member for giving our students an invaluable experience in granting HMYP a conditional use permit for a youth crisis center. Sincerely, Vivian Isaac. Dear members of the Planning and Zoning, I have seen the work HMYP has done since opening in February 2018, and I believe having a youth crisis center will be a positive thing for students. We have a need for this type of facility, and I can see no reason not to approve the conditional use permit. Thank you for making this available to our students who need the services. Leonard Shows. Dear Commissioners, we urge you to approve the application of HMYP for a conditional use permit to operate a group home for teenagers at 637 Sunrise Drive in the premises where the Green Child Daycare was formerly located. We know that as individuals, you understand the community need that HMYP is addressing and support its work in principle. We write you today to make sure you look closely at how well and organized it has prepared itself to take a step in the way that will make you glad you voted yes. Both of us have done volunteer work at HMYP since its inception. Pam was also a board member and an event chair for the past 3 years for the Great High Mountain Bed Race and Green Chili Cook-Off. We have both been observers of and participants in High Mountain's governance and development. We believe and affirm that in a long time of work in business and civic organizations and community, both large and small, we have never seen an entity, a public or private or for-profit or charitable, run with greater care, competence than the High Mountain Youth Project. The proof has been on public display for more than 2 years in Gyro Plaza, address that High Mountain currently occupies. High Mountain has planned and operated its effective daytime drop-in program for teenagers in a meticulously managed facility, compiled rigorously with all regulatory requirements and respected the rights and concerns of its current neighbors. HMYP has earned the right to ask you to give appropriate weight to its proven track record as a responsible, conscientious civic organization as you consider any hypothetical concerns or objections of neighboring property owners of the proposed location. Pam and Dave Tomlin. To the Ruidoso Planning and Zoning Commission, I am Roy C. Benavides, a resident of Alto. We have been property owners for 20 years and full-time residents beginning in 2005. I have been a member of the High Mountain Youth Project Advisory Committee since a group of citizens recognizing that we had many teenage youth who are experiencing homelessness came together to form a nonprofit focused on these youth. As a citizens research this issue, we found that Ruidoso and Lincoln County did have a large number of youth in this category as identified by federal guidelines that meet the definition of homelessness to qualify for protection and services under the federal law as the McKinley-Vento Homeless Assistance Act and the Runaway and Homeless Youth Act. Other research sources dealing with this category can be found at thesearchinstitute.org. Other communities across the country are discovering numbers of these valuable youth have responded with a sense of urgency to provide community systems or safety nets to keep youth from dropping out of school. Youth in this category are not initially at risk and in fact are in school and struggling to stay engaged in school life. However, most of these youth keep silent about their circumstances, try to remain anonymous, and resist the need to seek help. They are often a shadow living in a move-about mode where they can work it out. I became aware of this group of the youth during my residency in Williamson County, Texas. While conducting a drug abuse task force in the area, the city and county were surprised to find that they had a very large population of youth experiencing homelessness. Their responsive efforts and solutions to dealing with this population is very similar to what the citizens in Ruidoso designed as an intervention and safety net. The mission is to keep the students in school and from becoming a dropout or potentially dropping out. Further, the design and the structure of the program for these youth mirrors what the body of research urges in the finding of the work with youth. The effort to deal with this population in our community is a nonprofit organization known as the High Mountain Youth Project. The project has been successfully operating for several years through the generosity of many concerned citizens. The operation has initially operated as a drop-in center in the late afternoon and evenings. The vision and long-range plan has been added to an overnight facility to deal with the most urgent of the experiencing homelessness population. The vision and mission are becoming a real potential with the availability of the property in question. In fact, we've been urged to find property that matches the location that has been contracted for purchase. All of these operations will be supervised by trained personnel. Licensing and certification are under the jurisdiction of the New Mexico Children's Youth and Families Department. The proposed group home will be owned and operated by High Mountain Youth Project and will benefit youth experiencing homelessness or the at-risk homelessness, as well as our public schools and our community. The free resources offered at the shelter will keep youth safe and nurtured so they will have an improved school attendance, increased academic achievement, and graduate ready to enter higher education or the workforce. The journey to address the community issue has been a long process that has been focused of many volunteers, citizens in our village and county. The property in question meets the long-range needs of the project, and with the support of more citizens, village, and county, who will see the project move into the next and most needed phase of the project. I urge your approval of the request. Dear Ms. Warren, my name is Barbara Whipple. I work as a program manager for HMYP's drop-in center, and I wish to request a positive outcome for zoning the group home project. I have a master's degree in mental health counseling, and I've spent many years in prevention, intervention, and treatment for improved adolescent mental health. The mission of the High Mountain Youth Project is to provide needed support for risk adolescents in our community. In providing this level of support, we believe a significant difference can be made in the lives of the students who need the help the most. The non-judgmental approach coupled with the strong volunteer support enables the organization to provide research-based services producing service-driven outcomes, which are effective and sustainable. Our goal is to connect our students to the community in a way that models caring reinvestment. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. Barbara Whipple. Dear Village of Ruidoso Community Development Department, my name is Kelly Chavez. I'm the daughter of Jan Perry at 646 Sutter Drive. In support of my mother's opposition to the group home, I have the same concerns as she does. I'm worried for her safety, decreased property value of her home, etc. My brother and I live in Captain and do not have the ability to check in on her physically on a daily basis. Please do take into consideration the effect the group home will have on residents in the surrounding area. Thank you, Kelly Chavez. Dear Village of Ruidoso Community Development Department, in response to the High Mountain Youth Project, formerly known as Homeless Student Task Force, case number 2020-0318, I'm registering my opposition to the approval of the operating of a group home within the C2 district, even though it's rated as a commercial district. There are many residential homes in that neighborhood. My property has been in my family since 1953. We've always loved the neighborhood area, and I am now 78 years old, a widow living alone within 200 feet of the proposed group home. For the reasons I'm opposing the proposal, I would be constantly worried and stressed about the potential problems this home would bring to my neighborhood. I'm concerned for my safety. There are many other families that live in the C2 district as well. Concerns for the safety of my personal belongings and property. I'm concerned about the decrease in value of my home as well as surrounding homes. In fact, according to an analysis completed by the New York City Budget Office, a resident situated within 500 feet of a congregate shelter or group home sold for an estimated 7.1% less. The question she has is, I would like to know how you would address disobedient children that refuse to follow rules and regulations required by the home. 2, what is the percentage of juvenile delinquents that will be living in the home, and what kind of background do these youth come from? What is the number of youth that will be living in this home altogether? And what is the ratio of adults to youth supervision? Thank you for your time and consideration. Janine Perry. Dear Ms. Ward, we are writing you today as the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the conditional use permit for a property located at 637 Sutter, requested by HMYP. We are 15-year residents of Ruidoso, choosing to retire here after lived in many other places. We loved the spirit we saw and felt in Ruidoso and were welcomed warmly by local residents. We're invited to join the local organization, and thus we heard and joined HMYP in its infancy. Over the years, we have seen HMYP grow and expand and have worked hard to raise funds and help further its mission. Leon, as a board member, and myself as an advisory committee member. And the spirit never left the members. In spite of many hiccups along the way, even the coronavirus hasn't slowed us down. As we deliver food to 10 families with a total of 18 kids, when we began receiving students at the drop-in shelter in 2018, it was a happy day indeed. Finally, we might realize our mission. Since then, we've helped students in many ways and made it possible for several students to graduate high school and move on to other things. We've fed them, clothed them, mentored, tutored them, provided safe, stable environments for them to do homework, get help with their lessons, relax, and thrive. They're good kids, at risk of not graduating high school, though not their own fault. It's a pleasure to work with them and see their progress. Thank you for your consideration, Leon and Nancy Cranes. We're writing to express our full support of the application of HMYP to purchase a piece of commercial property at 637 Sutter Drive for group home use. Missy and her Borner Good morning, my name is Ted Allen, and I've been working at Assurance Home in Roswell for the past 9 years. Our organization has been serving homeless youth and at-risk youth for homelessness since 1979. I understand the important role that a safe and stable place to live, surrounded by caring adults, plays in the lives of children and young people. A strong, loving foundation makes a successful launch to productive adulthood. There is a huge need in Lincoln County and the surrounding area to support the vulnerable and housing unstable youth. We have an enormous gap that this HMYP program can fill in providing the vital services to these youth. They have names, they have stories, they need our help. The HMYP has an excellent plan. They will and commit to carrying it out. I believe that 637 Sudworth is an excellent location for HMYP to house their group home and emergency youth shelter. It is centrally located in a high-density residential area. The building and lot are very conducive to this type of programming. It's an ideal spot. Over the past year, HMYP has demonstrated a professionalism and ability to run on a high-quality, safe, and secure program, as demonstrated by their drop-in center. They have committed staff and board who will do whatever it takes to get it right. They've been working diligently to prepare for this next phase of their programming. I fully endorse approval of the conditional use permit to allow HMYP to operate this new and needed program. Do not hesitate to contact me with questions. Ted Allen. Ms. Warren, I was asked to send you a note in support of the High Mountain Youth Project. After retiring from education here in Ruidoso, I was asked if I would be interested in volunteering from tutoring the subjects taught in our school systems. I'm certified in math, science, business, and social studies for secondary students. With 24 years in education, I felt this was an opportunity to share my knowledge and experience. I've been tutoring the students this past year. The staff and students decide what subjects they need help with before I get there. Math has been the subject of choice every time so far. I've helped students from Ruidoso and Capitan with mathematics ranging from 7th to 12th grade. The program is beneficial to the less fortunate students in our community, and I observed the students receiving meals, hygiene products, and food to take home. The facility provided a safe environment for students and socializing during the school hours before going home. There was also an availability on the weekends. Tutoring during the weekends was also by phone request as needed. I'll be available for future requests this coming year. Sincerely, Colt Harrelson. Dear Commissioners, I ask you to approve the conditional use permit for High Mountain Youth Project for a group home that will provide shelter, basic needs, and an opportunity for youth in our area that homelessness or at risk for being homeless to thrive and become responsible for productive adults. It's hard to believe in such a small, caring community we have this problem, but we do. The drop-in center is currently open and operated by the High Mountain Youth Project is a testament to the need of our youth and the abilities of the board and staff. I have seen these needs and abilities firsthand, initially as HMYP committee member and now HMYP board member. I'm a retired telecommunications CEO executive, and I've been on and involved with several boards and charities throughout my career. I can profoundly say HYMP is one of the most caring, professionally run organizations I've ever associated with. The leaders and volunteers are talented, professional individuals who live in Lincoln County and have interests in the youth and students in the county at heart. The group home for which we are requesting your approval of the permit is the next step in adequately providing the needs of our youth and for addressing a problem that many do not know exists. Thank you in advance for your thoughtful consideration of a permit for this much needed facility and helping out the youth of Lincoln County. Laura Angel. Dear Commissioners, High Mountain Youth Project request of the Planning and Zoning Commissioners to grant the conditional use permit for HMYP to open their evening drop-in center and future overnight crisis shelter as a property located at 637. The drop-in center has been operating in a rented space in Gyra Plaza since 2018 without complaint from neighbors. We have no reason to believe the moving of this operation to 637 Sudworth Drive would be any different. Our personnel always keep the concerns of our neighbors in mind and try to minimize any potential conflict, which there has been none. Expanding the mission to include overnight care for youth through no fault of their own find themselves temporarily homeless always has been a goal of HMYP. A detailed plan for supervision of this operation has been prepared. Again, a well-supervised operation should not generate any conflict with neighboring properties, as has been shown from the operation at the Drop-In Study Center. As a property owner, taxpayer, supporter of civic society in Ruidoso, we feel supporting disadvantaged youth is a positive action and reflects well in the village. Ruidoso should be proud of many volunteers that support HMYP and its mission. Sincerely, Les and Brenda Staples. Dear Commissioners, I'm writing today on behalf of HMYP to ask the Planning and Zoning Commissioners to grant the conditional use permit for HMYP to open their evening drop-in center and future overnight crisis shelter at the property located at 637 Sutter. I served on the board of directors for HMYP from October 2015 to December 2019. My husband and I were involved with the opening of HMYP Drop-In Center, currently located at Drywood Plaza, and we both volunteered at the center from time to time when it opened in 2018, until recent events began taking up our free time. I got to know many of the students who came to the center, and I enjoyed getting to know them. I enjoyed playing cards and ping pong with them when they weren't doing homework and sitting down to evening meals together. These are good kids. They're trying to stay in school and graduate, but their family situations make it difficult to focus on homework and grades. Because of recent events associated with the coronavirus, the need for a drop-in center and future overnight crisis shelter will no doubt increase, and students will need a safe, caring place to spend their time more than ever. I hope the commissioners take into consideration the people currently serving the board of directors in the High Mountain Youth Project and other people in the communities who support the High Mountain Youth Project and the proposed drop-in center and crisis shelter. These people are truly pillars in the community who are willing to do whatever it takes to make these programs succeed. Please allow the kids who need the services to have a safe, supervised, structured place to spend their time. Please do not leave them on the streets of Ruidoso to fend for themselves. Sincerely, Rita and Rory Combs. As HMYP Project's next door neighbor, I wanted to assure you their presence in our complex has been a blessing. I can tell you without hesitation that I do not know when anyone is there unless someone comes to share cookies or other goodies or pick up their occasional package, which may have been delivered here. The doctor's office next door is noisier. I'm very impressed with the compassion and commitment of their staff. We should all have people like them in our lives, and I'm glad our teenagers have them in theirs. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Regina Schuster, Dan Austin, CPA. Dear Ms. Ward, the HMYP provides a very important locally based service, and I support their intentions to move to a more appropriate facility on Sutter Earth Drive, formerly Green Child Daycare. Thank you, Matthew Midget. Dear Ms. Warren, hello, my name is Jocelyn Reinpon. I'm writing you to request a positive outcome for the zoning of the group home drop-in center. I work as an assistant program manager at the High Mountain Youth Drop-In Center, where it has allowed me to work with so many great individuals to ensure that at-risk youth in the community of Lincoln County have the support and the resources they might need for a bright future. Our mission for High Mountain Youth Project is to provide guidance and to help to make a difference in the lives of students who may not be so fortunate. We provide strong volunteers and resources to help in any way our students might need. This is such a great organization to our community because we work hard to make sure that at the end of each day, every single one of our youth is taken care of, and they know our organization is such a great environment where they can feel safe and welcomed every day. If you have any questions about our program, feel free to contact me. Thank you for your time and consideration, Jocelyn Rincon. And the last one. I have served for the past 5 years as a volunteer bookkeeper at the High Mountain Youth Project. I am the quiet mouse that enters the building unannounced at various times. I don't interact with the students we serve, but certainly observe what is happening in the building when I'm there. The students are always well behaved and respectful to the staff and volunteer. They are there for various reasons: tutoring, quiet study, social interactions, a good meal or snack, laundry. They watch TV, play games, talk to the adults or other students, sometimes just rest. They are there for nurturing environment support provided by our staff and volunteers. I have never observed any loud or boisterous behavior. Most of our students seem rather shy, but certainly appreciative of services offered. I have provided students with needed clothing and school supplies for their families cannot provide. I'm proud to be a part of an organization that is helping these students achieve their goal of graduating high school. I'm also very proud to be a part of a community that has stepped up in so many ways to help and support HMYP to achieve its goals. Being able to provide an overnight shelter for these students is an important goal for HMYP. When these students leave our doors at night, we're not sure where they'll spend the night. We wish to be able to provide a safe, protected environment. They need our help. They need your help. I urge you to please grant the conditional use permit for the property at 637 Sutter Drive so that we may better serve these students and future students that need the nurturing environment HMYP can offer. Coming from a large East Coast city where I served as the mayor, I wish that we had such a facility to offer. Oftentimes, we're too big to notice the little things that help make the community truly one that helps itself. Brenda or Steve? That is all I have, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions? No hands raised. We're done? Okay. Okay, we're going to close the public hearing section. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant or Ms. Mendez? Or do you have questions in general?
Mr. Chairman, I'll go first. So I guess I just have a couple of questions about the operation. And I think some of it was answered, but I remember the conversation about the ratio of volunteers or staff to students. And I guess I'm asking, is there usually more staff there than students, more volunteers there, students, which goes with vehicles versus not vehicles?
Ms. Whipple, or do any of you guys want to answer that?
The ratio of students ordinarily for the drop-in center, currently, students come on the bus and they get off at the bus stop and they walk over. So the ratio for student to adult volunteer who is here, it can, sometimes we have three or four volunteers, two coming in one car, and then of course the staff person, and perhaps sometimes we can have 8 students, sometimes we have 2 students and 2 volunteers and a staff person. It varies based on how many students come in, but we always have enough volunteers and staff to make sure that we have a staff person upstairs paying attention to those students who are studying upstairs at our study corrals, and a staff person or a volunteer that's downstairs in the living room, while other staff could be, or volunteers can be heating our dinner, and we always have good supervision, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. So the ratio, if there's somebody that now has to stay overnight for what reason, is by law or code a certain number of adults per student?
I will have to answer that question because I'm the one that's working with the regulations for the overnight. The ratio is different with sleeping children. Okay, if you have sleeping children, you have to have 1 adult to monitor the 12 sleeping children. The 13th sleeping child would require a 2nd adult staff member. So starting out, we would keep up to 12 students overnight with an adult staff person. There's also plans for a program director to coordinate the program and make sure that all of the resources are available, and also be the community liaison between the shelter and the citizens of Lincoln County and Ruidoso. So when you add, like I said, when you add the 13th student, then you have to have 2 adult staff members. And once the kids get in bed, okay, they're not going anywhere, okay, except to, to the restroom or if they need a snack, and they can get a snack. So that is how the evening program would work. The overnight, the youth group home would work. During the day, it is our policy for the evening drop-in center that there are at least 2 adults there with monitoring the students and helping them and working with them and talking with them. Okay, many times we have more than that. It depends on, how many volunteers can come on a day. And so we have we at least have 2 staff people. Okay, sometimes we have 2 staff people there and no volunteers. Sometimes we have 1 staff person and 1 to 3 to 4 volunteers. It kind of depends. It depends on the need of the students as to how many adults we have there. If we have tutors come in, then you got more adults in there. So sometimes, every once in a while, sometimes we have more adults than kids.
Right, they're outnumbered, right.
Because of the numbers of the kids, the needs of the kids. So we have a really well-trained corps of volunteers. Our staff is well-trained. Whatever kind of training you think they need to have, they will have, and they already have. And then there's a continuing model for keeping up the training as well.
How many?
That's about all I can think of is in terms of staff and supervision.
How many overnight beds are you going to have?
I'm sorry, I heard 2 people at once.
I'm sorry. How many overnight beds are you going to have?
That will be determined by the square footage of that barracks, the metal building back there. And it takes 90 square feet. If you have a bunk bed, if you have 2 kids, like 1 on top, 1 on the bottom, there has to be 90 square feet around them. If it's an individual bed in an individual room, then you have to have 60 square feet, not counting a closet, okay? And so we don't know exactly what we're up against in terms of the square footage. We have to have an architect get in there and work with the CYFD regulations to come up with a plan for that. The amount of kids we can serve is dependent on how many adult staff we can provide, okay? And then again, with the square footage. So right now, it looks just roughly going in there the few times we've been in there, it looks like maybe up to 16 kids could sleep there, depending on how it's arranged.
And then what about separating them by gender?
Oh, yes.
Are you allowed to do that
There's
anymore?
2 wings. There are 2 wings there. So those that identify as female will be on the north side, or the west side, sorry, the west side. Those that identify as male will be on the east side. And someone will be making sure that there's no hanky-panky going on, okay? Because they are teenagers, you know that, right? So, yeah, and really, our kids behave themselves. The ones that we have worked with so far, if we ever had a problem, it was when somebody new came in and they were just kind of testing to see what they could do and what kind of rise they could get out of the other kids. It didn't last long. So.
Thank you. Alan, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. You are the chairman, So a couple more questions. I heard Gyra Plaza mentioned several times, and that is the current home without overnight stays, correct?
That's correct.
Has there been any issues? I heard nothing but positive things coming from Gyra Plaza and the neighbors saying it's a good thing, yada, yada, yada. But I guess my question would be to staff is police reports or anything that we don't know about that could have possibly come out of where it's currently at.
I've been here for 2 years, And there's been absolutely no problems that would have ever required police intervention in any way, shape, or form.
Perfect. My last question, Mr. Chairman, is again, so what data or what is driving the need for an overnight versus just a drop-in day type situation?
I can address that initially, and then I'd like Barb Whipple to add something to that. There are, in Ruidoso this past year, according to the school social worker at Ruidoso High School, Luisa Rodriguez, there were 10 students that she knew of that needed shelter over the course of the school year. That doesn't mean 10 at one time necessarily, but over the course of a school year until the COVID hit, she had a list of 10 students that really needed a place, a safe place to be sheltered and cared for at one time or another. And Barb can address this past school year, the population we saw at the drop-in center.
Sorry. During this last year, there were 3 students who, one was living in a situation that was overcrowded and difficult for him to get away from the chaos. There was one student whose other siblings lived with her grandma. Her mom did not have a stable environment, so often nightly, she did not know where she was going to sleep from one day to the next. There was another student who, in the beginning, when she first started coming, it was obvious there was issue for her. Now that got resolved by a family member stepping in to help, but that's what I've observed in the last year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that all your questions, Alan?
Sure.
Okay. Scarlett, you guys have anything? Ron? Anybody? Bart, any questions? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to a vote. Yeah, I closed it, didn't I?
Yes.
I did. Yeah. Okay. So I will take a motion to approve or deny.
Based on the foregoing finding of fact, per 54-66 of the village code, I move to grant the request of variance in case PV 2020-0325 with the conditions stated in the case report.
I have a motion. Can I have a second? Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, can I get a roll call, please, Stephanie?
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Those aren't the same numbers that I have on my packet here. Was that the correct reading?
They're not the same ones I have either.
Okay. Oh, did you read the wrong motion?
Which packet did you?
Did I read the one?
Oh, you're in Green Meadows.
I thought I read this one.
That's Mountain High. That one's the variance that's coming up next.
Sorry.
This one's Mountain. It's okay. We've been doing that a lot too. It gets confusing with the same.
So we're going to redo the motion, please. Thank you very much, Scarlett.
Sorry about that. Okay, based on the foregoing finding for, of fact per 54-68 and 54-100 of the village code, I move to grant the requested conditional use approval of case CU dash 2020-0318 with the conditions stated in the case report.
I'll still second it.
Okay, thank you. Now can I get a roll call?
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Byers,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner McLean,
Aye.
Commissioner Tucker,
Aye.
Commissioner Flack,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, guys. Good luck. And just wanted to say something, as a neighbor of High Mountain Youth right now, I have never seen even a kid out there. They are like super, you guys are doing a great job because I've never had a complaint and I'm just right there. So I've been next to you guys for 2 years and have never, ever had a complaint about anything that goes on there. So thank you, guys.
Yeah.
I will.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you all.
You wanna take like a 5-minute break? She's gotta change the disc.
Okay, we're gonna take a little break, 5 minutes, and she's gonna change the recording device. Thank you.
It's not on the website.
Thank you, High Mountain Youth Project supporters.
Thank you, guys.
I feel bad. Christie just said.
Hey, Ron, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Hey, I got a question.
Uh-huh.
So, is that your daughter, the little golf pro?
Yeah.
Alexandra?
It is.
Alexandra.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I just couldn't, I thought that was you, but then, I don't know, it's kind of.
It's hard to believe it.
You're pretty old. So am I. I got a 10-year-old, dude.
Uh-oh.
So yes, yeah, cool. Yeah, she's a
Yeah.
great little girl.
Thank you so much. She's a sweetie.
Yeah. Cool. So we're still on hold. You guys need to go to the restroom or anything?
Yeah, take care of that.
I feel bad for you.
I know.
I was glad you didn't ask me to do that. I'd be like,
Okay. Okay. Let's get ready and then still waiting for people in the restroom, right? Nobody's in the restroom. We still got a few minutes. That's left.
Tag it off the phone. What's up, Mikey?
How you been?
Good, man. How are you?
Oh, you know me. By the tail of me wagging.
You guys ready for volleyball season? Are you gonna coach?
Yes.
Good.
We are.
Okay, well, make sure you sign us up for your team.
Okay.
So we got 2 more things to do.
The last one's not a public hearing.
Okay. I'm gonna call my office real quick.
So Bart, if your business sells, are you going full into retirement or do you have other plans?
If I get it closed, it's under contract. I'm gonna build a house and then I'll probably do something like spec houses or something like that.
Are they gonna keep it at Cleaners, do you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
It's the only one in town, right? The other one left.
yeah,
Well,
yeah, it's the only one in the county.
they better not leave. People are gonna be mad.
No.
Press their jeans themselves.
Are we ready for the record?
Yeah, did you hear Richard left town? Hall?
Yeah,
He's gone.
yeah, he went to, Texas to be with his kids.
He's a good guy. I miss him.
Are we ready? You are on the record.
Okay, everybody, we're back. Everybody check in, please.
Here,
Alan,
I'm here.
Charlotte there. And Chad.
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
All right.
Okay, we're back. We're moving on to the next case.
Okay, Chairman, our last public hearing is a variance approval request, PV 2020-0325. Charles French is requesting approval of a variance to encroach 3.9 feet into the required 10 feet side setback as designated by the R1 Single Family Residential District to construct a new single-family residence at Block 3 of Phase 1, Lot 58 of the Grindstone Canyon Resort Subdivision located at 506 Mountain High Circle.
Do we have a applicant here?
Chuck is on.
Chuck, can you hear us? Charles?
Yes, sir. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir, we can. Tell us what you're, a little bit what you're trying to do.
Well, this will be my third spec home up there in Grindstone, and I just ran into the one little corner that's hanging over the 10-foot setback on the, I guess that would be the west side. The village owns the lot that's between me and the last house that I built. It's an empty lot designated to stay empty as the drainage ditch for the water tank that's above that subdivision. So it really wouldn't have any impact on any neighbor on that side. If you notice on the building permit plat, they weren't able to find that one corner survey marker. So you'll see 3 of them that are dark black and one that's left open. And that's kind of what got me to begin with, was there was some existing markings. And so my wife and I went up there and designed this house to be sure it was going to fit. And then as we continue to move on, based on the steepness of the lot and stuff, it's just right there where that corner's sticking over a little bit. And for me to try to make it fit, moving the house forward, just you can see how long and skinny that lot is in the back. There's some beautiful old growth trees that are part of the appeal to this site that I just hate to have to cut down. Got P&M to give me approval to step into their easement a little bit. So I'm coming before y'all to see if it's okay where it sits.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any public here? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and open up the public hearing. Is anybody here that's gonna speak for or against this? I hear nothing. Stephanie, nothing? No hands raised? Okay, we're gonna close the public hearing section of this. Does anybody have questions for the applicant or for Ms. Mendez? Seems like a very narrow lot. You're not gonna have a lot of options.
Alan's raising his hand.
So the question that I think he said is, by moving it forward, you can lessen that encroachment, but it takes out trees. Is that what she said?
So that is one thing, and then the other thing is just the way, those are mountainside lots.
I know.
So
How far down the hill or up the hill would you have to move?
To make it fit without a variance, I'd have to move it to 20 foot. My front setback would be 20 foot to the west. That's the only other option. And in doing so, if you've ever driven up there, it's probably the nicest tree in the subdivision. It's like a 3.5 foot down granddaddy pine that would just have to go if I did that. And it's not.
So the forestry department not going to make you move it anyway, are they?
Well, Dick and them have been really good with it for years. I don't think they'd want me to cut it down, but that's not my hardship's more time here. Honestly, I've been ready to build for a couple of months, and we've had to wait for this opportunity and some other opportunities. So I could give you a list of hardships, but the truth is, it's just I'm a spec builder, mountain man. That's where the house wants to be, and I did not know the property line was literally 14 feet difference from where it was flagged to when I actually had it surveyed. We still couldn't find that pin, so I'm just not asking for the variance.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Chad, Scarlett, Ron?
No.
Okay, I think it's pretty simple. I'll take a motion to approve or deny.
Based upon the foregoing findings of fact per 54-66 of the Village Code, I move to grant the requested variance in case PV-2020-0325 with the condition stated in the case report.
Second.
Okay, can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Briley,
Oh, you know how I am with variances, but I'll say yes.
Commissioner Byers,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner McElina,
Aye.
Commissioner Tucker,
Aye.
Commissioner Black.
Aye. Thank you, guys. Good luck.
Hey, thank you. And I just wanted to give a shout out to your community development department. Stephanie and Samantha have really been over backwards to keep me calm and help this process. So thank you all for your time.
They're fantastic, aren't they?
They are. It's a great group you have going on. Thank you again.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, that closes the public section of this. We don't need anything else. Just got to move on to the last case.
Yes, Chairman, the first order of new business that is not a public hearing is a pre-application and sketch plat review for case SUV 2020-0165. Review of a replat of Tract B of the Green Meadows First Edition subdivision to develop 17 lots for the use of an R1 single-family residential homes.
So are we staying in the same subdivision? It's not re-subdividing and
Right, so he would be replatting the existing lot. He wouldn't be getting a new name. It would be a replat of the Tract B.
does it meet all the requirements of the number of square footage on the lots per house and everything? How many houses did it used to have?
It started at 19, last time you saw it was 18, and this one proposes 17 lots.
He will need to request a variance for 2 lots
This
for
was
the
brought back.
dimensions as well as the width of the streets. Other than that, he he doesn't have any hiccups.
So I have a question. I pulled out the minutes and when I made the original motion, I asked Zach to, I guess, summary and he said, and I'll read it. It said, Zach Cook stated that the application has met almost all the requirements. The motion allows the commission to do the approval. The applicant must vacate the property from the Green Meadow subdivision as it exists as part of an existing subdivision. The vacation must be met in order to subdivide the property. And so I guess my question is, has the entire thing been vacated? Did we decide that we're not going with what Zach had the last time?
So the last time, we shouldn't be referencing the prior case. However, I'll just touch on it. He was wanting to develop a whole subdivision. Remember, he had its own name and all of that sorts. This time he's going under a replat, so he will be re-subdividing. So it's different terminology.
Exactly. Okay.
So no, he will not be vacating from that subdivision.
And I see he's included that street that was questioned about as part of this replat, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Is he even here?
Yeah.
Glenn's here?
Glenn?
Yes.
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, everybody, how's it going?
Good. So is this
Once
gonna
again.
make the process easier for you to do it this way?
That's what they tell me.
Okay. Since we're not in a public forum, we don't have to do any of this stuff normal, right? So does anybody have questions for Glenn that he can answer?
No, not for Glenn, but I guess Sam. So the variance on the lot sizes and everything will have to come through a different process. Is that correct?
Yes, the variances can only be granted
And-
by the governing body.
Right. And the width of the streets and all that kind of, right? Wasn't the width of the streets a question variance as well?
Yes, however, the street department manager does not see any issue with them being, more narrow than what the code requires.
But it still requires a process to do that. To
Yeah.
deviate from the design standards, right? Okay,
From the governing body.
you got it.
Do you have a question for me?
Yeah, I had a question on this. I think you just said that he replatted that street into the subdivision?
No. He's gonna do a replat rather than vacating from the subdivision. He left it there.
So he's incorporating that street into the,
No, he left it platted as is. He's
Okay.
not, these are the lots.
okay.
He left it there.
It just didn't sound like that one.
So
Oh.
he didn't change it. Yeah.
No, he left it there as platted.
Right.
Cool. So this process is just, he doesn't require approval or just,
Yes, he needs approval to move on to the preliminary plat, if you will, like his sketch.
looks good? Yeah. Does anybody have questions for Glenn or for Samantha?
You know, all I want to say is basically the same plan, a little bit rearranging of lots on the north end. We're going to leave that Green Meadows Circle or whatever it is, court, or drive rather, Green Meadows Drive. We're going to leave it unbuilt. We'll have to have some easements to give some of the lots access off of Apache Hills. But it's basically the same subdivision.
You're gonna have this, they're different, I can't remember how many lots you had before.
Lost one lot, we're now at 17.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
So, one more question. So with a different process, will the preliminary plat still have to go through the process like we had last time with all the neighbors coming and giving their input? Or is this something that's just done by staff and Kinsey?
No, it'll go through the same process of he has the option to do the preliminary and final together or separate. But they will still be public, quasi-judicial public hearings.
Hopefully some of them will lose interest.
Really?
You think?
Yeah, right.
You're taking away their natural space. That's why.
Increase the value of their property is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So is there issues, I guess, with dead ending that Apache Hills? Because before we had kind of a connection or cul-de-sacs. Is there an issue with, I guess, the sketch plan that we just dead end the existing road into the back of these lots?
That's where it is now. I mean, that's what's going on now. Without changing it.
Right.
But the other thing is when they made us with that cul-de-sac, make a 90-foot turnaround and pave the thing and do all the stuff, they increased the cost, $50,000 to make one cul-de-sac to make a fire access there. And then when we started talking about having to pay for the property over there that was already a designated street with a cul-de-sac on it, it just didn't make sense to financially when we start talking about paying, getting an appraisal and paying so much a square foot for it. And then what we'd have to do to create a cul-de-sac, it just made it financially a burden to do that.
Okay, just, again, I guess it goes back to Sam and group. And as far as design standards, is there anything that I guess prohibits us with just ending? I know they're all over town, but
it's already like that now.
Anytime that it dead ends like that, that's indicating that it's a through street. So there are design standards that talk about a dead end street.
But even street.
That we're ending it on an old existing subdivision. So we can't really do something inside an old subdivision. So would they have to do something on their side, like was on the original plan?
I don't know. We'll have to research that and get back to you.
I don't have a clear answer.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about that either, but I know when we talked about Moon Mountain, we had all those roads up there ending in Moon Mountain, and it was just what the discussion was.
From his last application?
No.
Eventually supposed to go somewhere.
Oh, showing the whole subdivision? I have to pull it up. Who would make that determination? The street manager?
No, it's in the code. It talks about the dead end street. If it's gonna dead end, it's supposed to terminate X amount of feet before the line. If it's titled like that, that shows that the intent was to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So if they were gonna dead end, it should have a cul-de-sac. Or terminate X amount of feet prior to.
Right. Wyatt, while they're talking, that's a question. Remember the discussion came about the topos, that they were at 6,800 feet. You still have them at 6,000 and 6,100. Did you ever look at that and verify that?
I never did. I mean, the contours came off of that LiDAR map that was produced for this area. And so I'm thinking that they're probably accurate, but I haven't looked to see if they are or not.
I looked on Google Earth and they say they're about 67, 6,800, but how accurate is Google Earth? I don't know. So you'll check that when we get into the design, right?
Yeah, I can check it, but what I'm saying is the slopes and the design purposes, the contours are relative, you know, whether the elevation needs to move up or down.
Right.
You know, the design is not gonna vary.
Unless we're tying into a manhole that has elevation 6,700 near it.
Well, we shot the manholes and stuff are on the same elevations that we use.
That you're using, right?
Yeah.
Got it. I know.
So can we approve it without an answer to that question? About the lot ending, or the street ending, sorry.
I think this is just a sketch plan, so it doesn't, I don't think it requires an approval.
Okay, good.
We'll get an answer for that,
Right.
for Glenn.
I mean, it's just in the street earlier, that's, shouldn't be that big a deal.
What year was this thing platted? And were those rules in effect back then?
There were several different days, dates that were in there. So I can't tell you what, you know, there's been several different iterations of it. So we can research that and smack.
I mean, when I look over here at Mr. Bloomfield, it's in 1950, you know, and it's named, it was formerly named after him. And I can only imagine that it's been there for quite some time. And when these standards of dead end streets and stuff were, you know, when that came about, I suspect that this predates it. I would be willing to bet.
It may predate it, but there's normally design standards, but we'll research that and get back.
I'm sure there are, but you know, I figure something's can be worked out.
I mean, I like it, looks good. I think you've been waiting long enough.
Yeah.
I think it's time to move forward. So.
Great.
But if we're not approving anything, I mean, we're not gonna vote on anything, right?
No.
Huh? Does anybody else have an issue with it, or you think it looks good?
Any recommendations?
Any recommendations?
I just think that's a good thing that, you know, we need to point out that type of information before and get them clarification so White knows how to proceed. So.
Tim, I think you're correct. It's you know, there's a lot of different design standards that seem to be, I get lumped into one, and maybe a one generic blanket statement or putting notes on the plans or something like that that says, you know, the street width is getting changed from standard of 32 feet to 22 feet. Cul-de-sacs are being eliminated in order to fulfill obligations. I don't know, maybe there's just something that we can do as a, if we're gonna go with varying off of various design standards, we need to either act on them or we just need to say, we're not gonna worry about it.
I agree.
What particular standard are you worried about, Alan?
Well, I just don't like the narrow streets, and I know that was a design standard issue before. There was the curvature of the streets that were going to need a variance on that. There was, again, the cul-de-sac radius. I remember that was a variance, but now we're not putting that cul-de-sac in unless we're planning to pave Green Meadows Drive. And so there were a lot of those things that are brought up during the preliminary plat, as far as a lot of my comments that I gave to zoning, that they were going to follow up if we proceeded to final plat with all those statements and questions. And I have my file here from last time, if you guys want to talk about what I saw as far as design standards and stuff like that, that I saw.
Well, one of the problems is this is infill. We're not taking raw land that's got plenty of room. We're taking something and trying to do the best we can with what we have.
I know, Glenn, but it's still, even infill, you're building new roads. New roads, a new road, standard, but we're not going to new road standards, we're going to old road standards. So that's all I'm saying is we need to either address it, or we need to put a note that we're not gonna address it, or something. And
Well, they're connecting to existing roads that it wouldn't make much sense to have a narrow road and then open up. So as far as how you proceed with that problem, that's up to you guys.
And of course, the input from the road people, when we did it, they'd be glad to get those dead end roads connected through and help their snow removal and their other problems that existed. You know, and on the cul-de-sac, they're perfectly willing to pay at that time, you know, a 90-foot turn, you know, a turnaround that was sufficient. So we weren't asking for a variance on that portion of it. You know, and I don't know even how to address, there's an existing city street there that dead ends in a cul-de-sac that, in our opinion, is unbuildable. And if it was to be built, the city build it, you know,
right.
The city already owns it. So we don't even know how to address that issue.
Yeah, that's true too.
But we're just leaving it, you know, that it's a dedicated street to its existence. So,
Mr. Chairman, I think what Alan's saying, and Wyatt, I think what Alan is saying, if I'm not mistaken, is, you know, just because this is already an area, and, you know, you still need to meet design standards. And if you're not meeting the design standards, you're gonna need to ask for a variance on that. So it's as simple as that.
Which would probably get granted because of what Glenn and Wyatt just said, but it's just, there needs to be record of, this is a 20 subdivision, but we did not comply with the current design standards, and this is why we granted the variance to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the next step process. Okay. Alan, anything else?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Glenn, do you need an application for the preliminary plat, or should we?
He's already submitted the prelim.
Oh, he submitted
Yeah, he hasn't done the final, but he did the prelim.
the application itself? And
So we don't need to vote on the sketch plat then?
No.
no, sir.
Okay.
So
The next regular meeting will be in July. Regular session.
and then he's going to bring this in front of us in July with, is he going to do,
As long as he has it.
is he going to do the final as well at the same time or no?
Glenn, do you know what are your intentions to do the preliminary and final together, or are you gonna do the preliminary and then the final?
No, I'd sure like to get it done as soon as we can. We
Okay.
can do them together, that's preferable.
I will be giving you a call then this week so we can work through that and I can tell you everything that is gonna be required if you submit them together.
that'd be great.
You bet.
All right, thank you guys.
Hey,
Good luck,
thanks
guys.
again.
All right, good luck.
All right, commissioners, Stephanie asked me, those who voted nay on the resort RV park and camping, she wants us to email her just a few specific reasons why we voted nay. So each one, if everybody can just email her
Okay.
something.
He does need that.
Can I tell you right now?
Which one was that on?
Or if.
On the RV park,
The first one.
the first one?
Yeah,
Y'all can tell her right now if you,
because I do have to draft a letter.
Okay, so specifically, why did you vote no?
I'll start.
Okay,
Because in our review, under number 3, it says, if the Planning and Zoning Commission determines by motion that the proposed site plan will not be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the community, or cause traffic congestion, or seriously depreciate the surrounding property values, and at the same time is in harmony of the process, et cetera, et cetera. That's the reason I voted no, because I do not believe that I believe it is detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare of the community and will cause traffic congestion.
And I agree 100% with that, and that was my reason as well. But also, RV and camping, I do a lot of RV camping and a lot of camping in those campsites, and there's no way he's going to be able to enforce anything. I've been, Bonita Lake, every Cloudcroft. I mean, people are there to have fun and party, and they're going to definitely party. And I just don't think that's a spot for. I mean, I go to those high-end pay campsites, and people are out there partying until 4 o'clock in the morning. So I mean, there's no way you're going to stop those people from making noise in that neighborhood. So that was mine.
That's actually the same reason why I voted no.
Number 3, add the noise.
I mean, I know it's his property, but
The exact same as Mark.
Yeah, and actually too,
I certainly wouldn't want.
I don't know why, but the dry campers,
The village.
I mean, it just always seems to be a lot of commotion in that.
But it's that part. It's
a different zone.
What, and I don't agree with that either.
And I just don't think that, it would be good actually for that area.
Okay.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah, I would say the same as Alan for the most part. There's much traffic there. We don't need more of that. And then plus all the noise for those houses that are right there up the hill. And I don't really have with camping if it were camping only, but when he's talking about recreation, and that recreation is not only for the campers, but also for the public. That's just a ton more traffic, people coming in and out. And then when I asked him if that was the extent of the recreation, just the pony rides and the bouncy house, he said for now. So who knows what other recreation activities he's going to add in. And then that's just more and more people.
And he didn't seem to be too interested in following the rules in the first place. So that was kind of, and then he's lied about getting paid. Well, I took donations. Well, yeah, I'm sure you were out there $5. Sure you weren't asking for donations. You don't have to put that in the motion, in your letter, but.
So Stephanie, Samantha is, because we did not find number 3 to be that enough explanation, at least for me.
It is, yes.
Yeah, I just needed a detailed summary of exactly why you guys had the notion on the nay vote. So when I draft up his letter, I will also send it to you guys for your final approval. Make sure that your sites were brought out in the letter before it is dispersed to the applicant.
Okay. Anybody else have anything before we adjourn?
So the June meeting's canceled, right? Just July's next one?
Correct.
When is that? 4th of July?
Well, they're going to cancel the 4th of July anyway, so might as well.
Something to do.
Yeah, the 7th of July.
7th, right.
Yeah, I'd do the 7th.
Okay.
Tim's here. Anybody want to say something to Tim? Used to see his haircut. He looks
You
sharp.
mean that we can say in public? No.
Okay.
This is going to be my last P&Z meeting. We are moving from Red Oso.
Really?
So I will be officially resigning, yes.
Well, how are you going to coach volleyball? Are you moving out of the town or?
Yes, we're moving to Lubbock.
Well, I kind of figured that eventually, but then why are you lying to me about coaching volleyball?
I didn't want to have the conversation in front of everybody else.
Okay. Well, that sucks.
Yeah, it's bittersweet, but I would be a fool to pass this opportunity up.
Cool. Good. Well, good luck.
Yeah, good luck, Chad.
I'll call you later.
Righty.
All right. If everybody has nothing else, we can say goodbye. Meeting adjourned.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, all.
Be safe.
Yeah, that issue was brought up by him as well.
We're
How
still
how
on
did the
YouTube.
village do that? And it's in R1, so the parks are acceptable. So it's in a PUD, the rest of it's PUD.
Be careful.
So Rodney intentionally didn't put it in the PUD. That's part of that old subdivision that Musa has.
Are you sure you want?
Did they, so